In the first place that I think is super powerful and what a lot of people overlook is in the analysis part. So we're not following the ADDIE model, but analysis is the beginning of so much of what we do in L&D. And the reason why it's powerful is because the GPTs are great at statistics. We can do permutation analyses. We can do so many different things. I want to kind of show what we got from some data that we actually ran. So we implemented AI course assistants in every single course that we have. So over 200 courses. We have them in our academic courses. We have them in our professional development courses. And they've had a big impact on outcomes, both professional development and um, academic grades as well. But there's still a large number of people who did not use them, and we wanted to find out why. So we had 18, we had a lot of data as far as numbers. I think it was over like 2,000 individual responses of whether they used the Spark or AI course assistant or did not. We could not have crunched all that just by us looking through it and wading through all of this data. So we used AI to do a permutation analysis and look at the data from multiple different ways. And we found out this is the biggest spike. Notice it's neutral. What's this? This is a sentiment score. So we wanted to find out why people didn't use it. And it wasn't because people had a staunch feeling for it or against it. They were kind of neutral about it, and there were other reasons. So we didn't see a big marketing deployment that we had to do to shape people's thoughts or feelings about it. And this is what did it. And the data that we used came from our a combination of several sheets that we got, but it actually asked them here, did they use the assistant or not? Then it actually asked them why they didn't. And we have our question mapper right here. So it looked at how they felt during the course. And now we know if they used it or not, and we can compare that, their feeling of support, engagement, encouragement, along with their answer of why they did or did not use Spark. And then we came up with some interesting insight. Ask interesting questions to help you use data to answer those questions. So that's kind of where we are. And that's what we did with this. So we noticed was not a big it was neutral. It wasn't a big love it or hate it for the people that did not use it. And here's what they said. They didn't think that it was necessary. That was the biggest response. Lack of interest or motivation. They weren't motivated to use it. Uh, and when we looked at that, we saw, okay, how the instructors or the course material points them to the tool directly impacts their motivation. So that was kind of cool to think about. We actually created a word cloud all using AI. We have an instance of Google that we use, their version of AI, Gemini, and this is what it came with. It created all of these graphics that we're looking at right here. So the biggest one was a need was the biggest word said, and they didn't feel like they used it. So we were able to look at this data from many different perspectives and then run a permutation analysis on the distribution of the mean. So their ratings of how they felt during the course. And the permutation analysis is a statistical fact and figuring that we can now do really easily, where it used to take somebody with a lot of statistics and brain power to be able to do. So we did all of that in a matter of minutes to come up with the purpose why people did not use the technology, and then get a game plan on how to help them engage with the technology, because we know that it makes their outcomes better, that it helps facilitate better outcomes. So how did we do that? So Vince, for you, you are in L&D, and do you use AI right now for in the analysis process, or how would you like to use it if you aren't?
Um, Good question. I don't use it I haven't, I think that's probably an area where I want to use it more. I haven't really used it as much. I've used it more in the development process.
Oh, so you've used, and that's the great thing about these tools. They can be used just about anywhere, right?
Right, right.
Okay, so we'll get into that. I want to pick your brain with the development tools that you use in a moment. So right here, if we want to use a permutation analysis, um, conduct a permutation analysis on the attached spreadsheet. So any prompt we use, we just have to be very specific on how we use it. And I always have a library of prompts when I want to. This is specific for today, but I always create a library of prompts for whatever I want to do. And then I adjust that prompt instead of writing the whole thing because we want to be very specific and we want to give a lot of context as well. So for this, all we have to do is here, put in the prompt, hit attach. We can upload the folder right here. And then it'll run the permutation data on question one and the Likert scale. Let's see what happens. Now, if I put something wrong here, it's going to give me an error. We just need to figure it out, which is not a big deal. So it gives me the table. It's going to analyze it, and then it's going to come up. And then the next part is what I really liked about this, because then you can enter into a discussion on what do you think was how we could overcome this main reason or whatever it may be. So that's really the power of our GPTs that we have. So what do we want to find out from this spreadsheet? And we want to find out the difference between question one, two, and three, the feeling of encouragement. So that's what we did with question one. My apologies, I mixed up my flow a little bit here. But as we did that, take a look. It found that in question one, there was an observed difference between the users of the AI course assistant and those who did not use it, negative 0.125. So there was a small difference between those who used it and those who did not use it. So that means, okay, so then we can ask, what is the main reason people did not use the assistant? Use the data, use the data from, and then we're going to say question, was it 43 here? You did not use Spark, so question 41. 41, also state your ideas on how to, and it'll come up and it's going to give us something. So now we're engaged in a conversation, and this is the brainstorming power. We don't like to not brainstorm. We don't like to not go back and forth. We don't want to just have this and take it for granted. All right. Here's how to get it. Highlight values and use cases. So it's all about onboarding and educating. Use testimonials, incorporate direct prompts. Okay. What was the main reason people didn't use it? And let's see, what was the primary reason? And it should come up. So it already gave us different ways to go about, and then we could even dive further into that conversation. And they did not feel that they needed it. So we could go in and we could create all of those graphs and everything like we did here, but we found out, okay, this is the basis of what we need. So depending on your need for your organization, you can dive deeper and deeper if you want to. So for example, if we're using uh, if we're looking at a course and we're looking at student surveys coming back at us, so whatever it may be, instructor surveys, the smile sheets, we can take the Likert scores and we can take the sentiment from the open discussion or from the open responses and compare and see if they match to see if we're seeing the whole story. So that's really a way that we can engage with Chat GPT or any GPT that we utilize for our organization and utilize it to come up with the whole story. Because I know prior to this, and Vince, maybe you've know this, felt the same thing when we initially started looking at these hundreds and hundreds of student surveys that came back or learner surveys that came back. If there were that many, we couldn't really get a whole lot from it. We needed a tool, and now we have the tools here. What's your thought about the ability to get more data and use the stats?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that that was a super efficient way to get insights from, your survey that would have taken prior to this, like so much longer to do analysis.
Yeah, and I know when I used to do it, I would catch myself fixating on the negative comments instead of looking at it altogether, you know? And it would really skew the work that we would do to try to fix anything because we'd
Right.
make the proverbial mountain out of a molehill. Have you seen that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And then the next phase that we love to do, and we've instituted this everywhere within our process, is AI in every meeting. So AI is recording the meeting. We're asking it questions at times during the meeting, and we're using the transcripts to speed up our process because now we can give Gemini our transcripts and it'll give us a detailed summary and action items for people along with due dates directly from the transcripts. So that's been a very powerful thing just to speed us up and keep everybody on the same page because no longer do I have to go and look at the notes I wrote at the meeting and then write them up here so everybody can understand them because nobody's going to understand my version of shorthand as I was taking notes or forgetting to take notes. So it's all there. And then one thing that I love to do in meetings, if we're looking at content, is ask AI in the meeting. So in Gemini in the meeting, if what its thoughts are, ask it a question about the content, and then have somebody else on the team being the devil's advocate or the contrarian to whatever that opinion is. Because we found that when AI gives an opinion, people kind of sometimes bend in that direction. So we want to make sure that we have the contrarian, the devil's advocate in the meeting as well to put things out there, which is always good because conflict in a meeting like that is very healthy and it helps create a high performing team. So I'd be curious, do you use AI in your content meetings or your course design meetings now, or any meetings in L&D for that purpose?
Just starting to, we are an office-based company and we're kind of like a medium-sized company. So, um, a lot of our meetings take place in person, and I know I could probably still use these tools, not through an online meeting. I could probably still use, um, but I just haven't been leveraging them as much as I
Oh, that's a
could.
great,
So,
great point. Because
yeah.
yeah, because like I was in the office yesterday and we could use the central, the central system that we have in there for our meetings, and you could just have AI join the meeting from that. So in this case, it would have been Gemini too. Uh, for the meeting
Okay.
or
Yeah.
whatever we're using. Yeah, that
Yeah.
works really
Yeah. We're
well.
using more Copilot right now.
Oh, I
Kind of.
love Copilot.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. So I'm just starting to get familiar with it and utilize it more.
And really, the power of Copilot is it's in every document, it's in every spreadsheet. So you can actually do what we did in the beginning with your spreadsheets just by asking Copilot right there, just asking questions right inside your spreadsheets. It's pretty cool. I wish that uh, I had that we utilize Copilot more because it's just so powerful inside every single Word document, PowerPoint slides. You can bring all of those together and you have OneNote and everything with them. So it's hugely powerful to be able to do that. And one way you can bring it in, so let's say you want to use Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever you want, it's an additional SME. And I have found this to be hugely powerful because it gives you a different perspective. So especially if I'm that army of one, the single ID, and there's maybe one SME, uh, it brings in a different perspective and it creates a lot of good conversation with that. And it allows us to brainstorm quite a bit as well. Uh, for example, if you want to do a thought partnership, I always say you're a seasoned learning and development professional. You have a broad range of experience with the L&D field, your wisdom. Give advice when you deem it necessary once they respond. So you can do That you can do, give it uh, the broad range of experience in L&D. Um, and that creates that back and forth. So let's use that real quick, or you can even, let's use our bigger one first. And it is hugely important to be able to put this in and then just pop it right in. I should open up Copilot right now because Copilot does it so well. Okay, so it's asking me here to help you plan and create a professional development course for adult working professionals. And that was all in the prompt. What course or content would you like to design today? So what course should we design today, Chris? What kind of course should we go for? Their events?
How about a course on giving feedback during one-on-one meetings?
And then with our prompt, it should be asking us some more questions. Oh, great choice. So it affirms me, doesn't make me feel like I'm dumb. So that's always good. Who's the audience? Who's our, we'll say uh managers with less than 10 years experience, or everyone? Well, just for us, this is just so you'd put in whatever you wanted there. And then, okay, thanks for clarifying that. What do you think the audience already knows about giving feedback? Um, let's pretend that we're having an issue so far. We need to train on and practice giving feedback that positively affects performance. Understood. Ooh. We're going to deliver it in person or online? Ooh. It's asking for the goal. So, can you help me write the goal? I always like to get their input. We have learning goal, we have learning objectives, identify, demonstrate, practice, recognize. Oh, so what do you think of these, Vince?
Look great so far.
Yeah, by the end of the lesson, managers will be able to deliver feedback during one-on-one meetings that effectively motivates employees to lead and leads to performance improvements. Got to have our learning objectives. Let's keep them. Keep these. So we have that. We could be putting all of this in our document, or you could actually be doing this within your document within Word already, and it could just be populating as you go. What's the duration of the course? You want to do it in what, 2 hours? Let's give it short duration. See what that matters. So here's our lesson plan. And we never take our lesson plan verbatim for what it has. We look at it, and this is just start of a back and forth that we always want to use. So we're going to practice, we're going to role play exercise, check for understanding. So if you have Copilot, I would actually say, can we use Copilot to engage in a role play scenario during the course? So each individual could role play with Copilot. So, and then have the conversation with your tool, whatever that is. And said, oh yeah, here's our exercise. So we added that in there. And what did it start with? Well, it started with direct instruction, overview of effective feedback, why it matters. I would actually say uh, part one needs to be active learning. Can you adjust? Because I don't want to just, well, can you adjust? Fair enough. Can't spell. And here we have interactive presentation, think, pair, share, mini group activity. So now it's giving me all these ideas that I can put in. So that's why it's great to brainstorm with AI, because especially if we've done something a lot and we think we know how to create a course on a specific topic, it's nice to brainstorm with something that has a completely different perspective than we do. So that's how we put it right within our brainstorm workflow. So we've used it in the data analysis, we've used it in any meetings that we've had, and now we're brainstorming with it one-on-one to try to come up with interesting and unique ideas on how to move forward with the course. And it's a conversation. We don't want to just take the data dump. So that's how we look at that. And then the next part, which I really enjoy, are these content creation tools. I'm going to share. So we have Lumen 5 beyond Google. Have you used Google Notebook yet, Vince? That's amazing. It's an amazing tool.
No, I haven't.
You can take a chapter or something, a piece of content that you have, upload it to Google Notebook, and it'll create a legitimate podcast out of it with two different people, two different voices. It's kind of nuts. So
Wow.
it makes
Okay.
something like in our academic courses, I use it in for my syllabi. So I have a syllabus, which is probably the most boring document ever created by human beings, and it makes a fun podcast out of it. So students get everything in the syllabus by listening to this 15-minute podcast that is
Love that. That's
completely
great.
AI rendered. It's crazy. So here are my colleague created an AI tool and use case hub where all kinds of tools. So for video generation, she likes Lumen 5, Colossian, Beyond, InVideo, and then audio generation, Will said, Even Labs, Speechify, Rest Preacher, or Respeecher, and then AI visuals. We have Midjourney, Canva. Canva's amazing. Dolly, Adobe Firefly is amazing. Then role play simulation, character AI, Replica, Mesentient AI. So it just depends what you want to use. And Notebook LM is an amazing tool also. And these are different use cases that we have for it. So what tools have you been using for content creation, Vince, compared to what we have here or just in general?
Yeah. Um, I use Canva a lot, so definitely am a big fan of that. And then a little bit of articulate storyline and Rise. Um,
Oh,
and then I work in PowerPoint a lot as well because, a lot of the training I'm running is instructor led.
right. Well, and you have all of that amazing whoops, all of that amazing Copilot AI in PowerPoint that you can use. And what I love about the Copilot piece is if I'm in PowerPoint, I can take a document and it could basically begin the setup for my PowerPoint presentation. It's not fantastic, but
Yep.
it saves me time, right?
Right. I think that's probably the one area of Copilot that I'd like to see more progress in.
Yeah.
Especially because like we use a corporate template for our PowerPoint, and that really throws Copilot off. It likes to just create slides from like a blank canvas. So it
It
definitely
doesn't like the
has,
tip. Okay.
yeah, it has some room to grow in that, but I'm hopeful that it will.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty certain it will. So if you haven't used Lumen 5 before, and then I'm going to choose a template and we'll just use this one because we're starting. Normally we take some time to figure out what we want. And then what do we want to do? Do I want an AI voiceover? Do I want an avatar? Do I want a talking head? You can upload your own. You can do a voiceover. Any particular one you would like to see? Do you want the AI voiceover or the AI avatar?
Yeah, let's try the voiceover.
Okay. And then we'll do it on a topic. We'll do our what the video will be about. We'll do providing feedback. Feedback in a one-on-one meeting. And outline some of the script of what should be on there. And it's going to make all this for us. Okay, I give feedback to create greater performance, give feedback that is actionable. What would our third thing that we want to make sure is on here? You got an idea?
Give feedback that's meaningful.
Yeah, that's always good, right? Let's give feedback that nobody knows what's happening. Okay, so we have that in there. Then I'm going to compose the script. And it's going to come up, provide feedback in a one-on-one meeting. It's vital. So then we could go through this and we could edit this script now. So it gave me a quick script. This is free on Lumen 5. They do have a pay version. So the free version, I believe it keeps it to a minute. And we use this a lot for like our quick overview videos, if we have any. And then I'm just going to hit continue. And then you can listen to the voice.
Providing feedback in a one-on-one meeting is a vital.
So that's a good voice. So let's just convert it to video. Now it's going to make the video itself. So let's give it a minute to go ahead and do that. But that's just one tool. We also use Well Said quite often, Beyond, and you said you use Storyline and a lot of Canva as well. The AI tools for Canva, they're really good. They even have the background remover and all of those kind of things within it. So we developed our outline. Now we're moving into the content creation. It is all right here. So, and then what I like to use it for is for training. We began using we call it Spark. It's from Nectar, but it's a generative AI course assistant, and we can give it its individual personas with a prompt. So we have it in to train staff for. So if instructional designers need practice, we're working on having difficult conversations or working with SMEs or stakeholders of any type, we have these interactive assistants where they go in and they actually role play with them back and forth. So we have real-time training, and because the answers aren't canned like they used to be, remember the days when we thought we were doing good when we'd go through and you could select a choice and then this was the response and you select a choice for that. Well, now with our GPTs that we have, they go in and they just actively engage real time, and you don't know what the responses are going to be. So it is a lot of fun when they do that. And we can actually, I'm going to jump in while that is happening. Hey, David, welcome. Oh, so here's Lumen 5. We're ready to go. Let's see if I shared our audio. I'm going to hit preview and let me know if you can hear it.
Providing feedback in a
Can you hear
one-on-one
that?
skill for
Yes.
fostering growth and enhancing performance. It is an opportunity to guide, motivate, and support individuals in their professional journey. Feedback is crucial because it helps individuals understand their strengths and areas for improvement. It creates a culture of continuous learning and development. When delivered effectively, feedback can boost morale, increase engagement, and drive better performance outcomes. To ensure feedback is actionable, it should be specific and clear. Avoid vague statements and focus on concrete examples. Offer practical suggestions that the individual can implement. This approach empowers them to take ownership of their development and make tangible progress. Feedback should also be meaningful, which means it should resonate with the individual. Connect feedback to their personal goals and the broader objectives of the team or organization. Highlight the impact of their actions and how improvements can contribute to shared success. In conclusion, providing feedback in a one-on-one meeting is a powerful tool for enhancing performance. By making feedback actionable and meaningful, you can inspire individuals to reach their full potential and contribute positively to the team. Remember, effective feedback is a catalyst for growth.
Okay, that was better than anything I could have made that quick. How about you? So what do we think? Did it meet our needs for just a quick hit there with it?
So I think it was actually really good overall, like quick, micro learning type video that you can implement. And I really appreciate the content that was established and created thereafter. My only thought and question, and I know that
Mhm.
there's a voiceover right here that you could see like the script. My only thought is but the potential AADA compliance, whether it has the capability of having closed captioning or not. That's just,
Oh, you know what I do? I would then download this
yeah,
and put it on YouTube or wherever, whatever internal source we use, and then just use this as the script for the
yeah.
captions. Yeah, absolutely. I believe you can share it on Lumen 5 with script as well, or with closed captions. I'm not sure because we always download it and put it on our YouTube channel, and that's where we put in the transcripts and the captions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Overall though, really good. I think it's I mean it does the trick and it's super fast in comparison to developing, you know, a storyline or something of that nature if, you know, whatever may be the case. But yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Right? That was, and Vince, we put that together in what, 30 seconds, and then it just did its thing.
And I mean, it's interesting that you say AI and stuff like, but I know that with Lumen, it asks you for 3 points or bullet points. It's almost as if I think you can embed and utilize AI even further, like using ChatGPT, just with the topic, like, can you give me an outline of this topic and then whatever the topic is, and then it would literally like normally give you like, you know, bullets, like three or more, you know, different bullets, and you can kind of put that into this without you having to think about, okay, what are the things I actually want to talk about, you know? Um,
Yep.
I know it's kind of a lazy way of doing it, but that's what AI to some extent is giving us the benefit for.
Yeah, and it's really the worst thing that's going to happen if you take your time to ask like ChatGPT that question, and you'll get whatever response it is, and then it's actually helping people become better critical thinkers, in my opinion, because they get this, they say, you know what, that's not really that good, or you know what, that's fantastic. I didn't even think of that. We're engaging without even realizing our critical thinking skills even more than we used to. So yeah, I actually love that idea and that concept. And I do that quite often myself as well. And here's our conflict role player here that we use. And it says help with any questions. Let's start a role play. So this is for what we use for students, and we can use. I'm the subject matter expert for this project. You ready to sharpen your conflict resolution skills and work through this together? Oh man, yes. So let's get started. Great, let's dive in. I have to admit, I'm not sure why we need to design a course for the wobbler gauge. I already have all the documents needed to build. What are your thoughts on this? How should I answer that? So I'm working with a SME, I'm the designer, and they're like, dude, we don't need to do this. I already got everything. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, how do I show the value of course design in here, right? How do I get that piece? How do I engage in this conversation so I can show the value of course design and utilizing the materials the SME has to create something that actually creates a learning experience for others who don't have the knowledge that they have. So how would you respond to this?
Maybe could be, you know, something around like, why don't, if you already have the documents needed, like why don't we see how, I don't know, like user friendly they are, or how
Why don't we ask, well, then show us what you have. Demonstrate what you have for us.
Oh, okay. And it's going to go. Certainly, I share a document with it, but before we dive into them, are we dealing with a AI or a person here? Could you help me understand why you think you need to go through the course design process when we already have these materials? So that gives me an opportunity to kind of show some value, I think. What do we say, Vince, David? What do you think?
I mean, just because you have the instructions or the documentation needed doesn't mean it's clear enough for um scaffolded enough to follow and get the desired end result.
I'm paraphrasing. I can't type as fast. So I think we got the gist. So let's go. Let's go with that. Let's see what happens. I see your point. You're suggesting that while the documents are technically sound, they might not be constructed in a way that facilitates effective learning. Is that right? Oh, so it's you. So the SME is now using motivational interviewing on me, which I like to use because it's a very powerful tool. How do you envision the course design process improving the learning experience? Man. Once again, I get to try to show value.
I
What do
think
we
one of
think?
one of the benefits that could improve any training is using adult learning theory or practices, like adult learning practices, because it's really not theory, it's an assumption.
Did I capture that right on the screen? I may not have.
Yeah,
Or-
I would say that'd be good, just without the capital N.
Oh, yeah. Well, AI is used to my misspellings now. Oh, that's an interesting angle. Okay, effectiveness of training on the wobbler gauge. Oh. Oh. Oh, right now we have a high defect rate. Using these strategies, we want to lower the rate, the defect rate. Oh, practical hands-on approach. So now we're engaging with them. These documents need for more engaging learning experience. How do you think we can balance the technical depth of the existing documents with a need for a more engaging learning experience? Oh, how can we get in with that? Oh, how about let's do this one? I don't know. What do you think? All right. So now eventually, I'm not sure if I trained this one the same way, but one or two more back and forth in the conversation, then it's going to stop and give me a coaching moment. So it's going to say, okay, notice how the conversation did this. Some good points where you stated this, that created empathy or whatever it might be. So it's a time where it gives coaching back as well as the role play. I'm not sure if this one is created in that exact way. Um, but what do you think about this approach? Would address your concerns? Okay. I do
So
like this.
is Spark more of a way for users to integrate critical thinking in the approach of a dialogue, or maybe I got a little confused.
Oh, so Spark, check this out. Okay, so that's the interface. So when I come here, I can hit this magic setting button. And Spark, we have Spark in every single course as a course assistant, so it'll answer any course related questions. And then we have it for critical thinking, we have it for role playing, and we also have it for training. And the way we do that is through the prompt. So we give it, the prompt is basically the personality and how it acts. So this is the prompt we use. You can put this prompt in Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, wherever you want, and get the same reactions from the GPT. Nectar just happens to be what we use since we're in a university setting. They are fully FERPA compliant, so we can't, none of our, it's a data security, if you will. And Nectar has all of that in place. So these Nectar bots are whatever we want them to be. We even have one in our XEDU course. So in one of our Master of Science in Instructional Design courses, where it is we call it DESI, where it is actually a instructional designer assistant. So we have here Spark, the instructional designer assistant, but we have one called Desi that actually does it better. So we've experimented with a few. There's Desi. So we call it Desi in the classroom. And the way that's set up, so you saw the way the initial one was set up. Now this one is set up with this prompt here, friendly, helpful instructional designer assistant, always looking for a way to move forward, then give all the information, create a custom artifact for the ID. So explain why you made the decisions you made, ask the ID if they would like to change anything. So it's forcing that conversation. Because what we found when we implemented these into classes, uh, whether they're professional development or higher ed or, or academic courses, people engage at an average of between 4 and 5 back and forth with the assistant. And then when it goes to the back and forth with the role play, it's upwards of 10 times. So it's always a conversation back and forth. And that's because we built it that way. We don't want it to be like when we go into ChatGPT and then it just gives us a response. We don't want that. We want that back and forth to help with the critical thinking. And this does it really well. And it's the prompt that does that. And then whatever it happens to be trained on. So our knowledge, we're allowing this one to get the general knowledge from its large language model, which, and then we have it trained on all of this.
I think that the seeing now, knowing more about this, I see a huge benefit for those instructional designers working within higher education, right? To implement and create something of this nature for virtual online courses or self-directed autodidactic learners. So I definitely see how that, like, I even liked the demonstration what we went through. I was just originally like a little confused into the overall aspect of the tool, but I think it's much value added. And I see that originally when you started, I think some of these students or most of the students don't really utilize some of the AI components, it sounds like, or like some of the Spark tool. Is that correct? That you shared that?
Some do not.
Yeah, some
Right.
do not. Yeah, which is interesting because I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think there's such a great asset for some of those students who could benefit from like a soundboard, like this type of scenario, which is what it was. You know, it's kind of like a soundboard. You're dialoguing with something that's has an intellect capacity, and it's kind of showing some emotionality, which is kind of scary for AI components of it all. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Well, you know what we found, David, is what the data is telling us, right? From the use, because we've been doing this quite a while now. Well, quite a while in AI terms, I guess. In reality, it's probably fairly short. But what the data is actually telling us is that students engage in active learning. So we know that when they're engaged in active learning, they're able to apply it better, right? So they can go right into that application. But also, I see you're the Office of Student Success and Completion. The students in our academic side who are using this the most are the ones who are at higher risk of not completing. So it's helping them to create a bigger sense of belonging to the university. It's helping their grades as well, even though it doesn't do any of the assignments for them, it just has that conversation back and forth. So as it's helping their grades, now it's helping them foster that sense of belonging and the I can, if you will. And then that's helping them, hopefully we'll see in the next few years, people completing at a higher rate. That's our overall goal. That's what we want to see. Because if they're able to actively learn and actively practice their skills in the business side, they're going to be able to apply them. So I love the conversations that we have with the active learning pieces where they role play or have difficult conversations, whatever it may be. So hopefully that will have a difference on retention. And then hopefully the active learning and the help that it gives students who might be at risk, give them that greater sense of belonging. So now they're completing. So they're taking it to completion. So they went from, man, I don't know if I can finish this or if I even want to finish this to I'm done. I got it finished. I'm good. I'm going off my graduate program now or whatever, you know, whatever they want to do, whatever's good for them, right? So it's kind of cool the way the data is showing that. Because for grades, the average grade in our pilot where we did a head-to-head comparison, same class. The only difference was one course had the Nectar in it, the course assistant, the other one did not. We had a 3.2 GPA for the ones with the assistant. And the assistant was not like ChatGPT, writing a response form, writing an assignment form. It was just that back and forth engagement you saw versus the others that was 2.7 average GPA. So it makes a big difference. And when in terms of practical application and the feedback we got from some of our professional development courses was that people were literally engaging in those back and forth role plays to a point where they thought that they were actually having a conversation and input and using the actual skills. So they were using the skills and they felt much more capable of applying the skills. So it's kind of like if we were in a face-to-face course and we would pair up and have, difficult conversations with each other. But they're more likely to have a deeper conversation with the bot at first because they don't feel that they're going to be judged, laughed at, or whatever from their responses by the inanimate thing, by the assistant. Yeah. So that's how those are some really easy ways to input in every aspect of L&D. Is there anything that you in particular like to see or chat through with the three of us here?
I think I'm a little limited on time, but I
Okay.
appreciate so much everything that you shared, and I would love to see the recording if possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was great, George. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. So if anybody wants to get more information, I'm just going to throw this up there. So for the recording piece, it is on there in case anybody needs it. Is the whoops, get out of the way. Well, that's our center. Here is our YouTube channel. So the DLS YouTube channel, we have a ton of stuff on here. We have an MSIDT program, which we've used a lot of this technology in. So I always like to show that. So this is our version of Spark, our animated version, and this is our animated version of DESI. And with that, we have an AI center here, and we have a monthly conversation. The first one begins November 20th. We're just all of us getting together, whoever wants to get together and just chat through how they're using AI and getting other people's perspective on what they're doing as well, because none of us have it just completely nailed down. We need to have that larger cohesive voice. And then that's just our MSIDT program here at LAPU that we always like to talk about because it's competency based and we use a lot of AI to help people get ready for the actual world when they're working as designers. So that is where we're at. So thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
George.
Bye-bye.
Good to meet you.